Long time no see. Love you. Even better now.
I think she's already aware of this year. She just told me when I went in to get my last book.
16 pages that were given to you before because I sat down with Deb this morning and we discovered a couple of places that
This is in and this is out.
yeah. 16 pages to you.
Ouch. What'd you do? Did you hard? We need a remodel.
Something trying to kill me here.
Yeah.
What?
You're trying to kill me. 16 pages to you.
Thank you.
Slowly.
Slowly, it's like through the fingers, tripping me with a head injury.
Well, if you tell the guys to quit tracking mud in through there, I'd pull that up.
What's that?
Tell the guys to quit tracking mud through here, and I'll pull that up.
All right, see you in August.
Kenneth, I know I have 3
So
things
my
to
last
pick up at
16
Canton. I will be
pages.
there.
Your mother didn't get printed out. Everybody else has them. I left her.
I left it too.
Okay.
That's probably a good thing that you love her. She
Use
is
the
your
one
mom.
from before. It's just
She's a good lady.
the one
Somebody tell me
building
they
permit
I just looked down, I said, well,
was
that'd be
corrected and.
forbidding, thank you.
Thank you very much.
She goes, but just,
You want to just make a copy of mine?
I
I
can.
know. She buys all
Was
the
it my
stuff for the
coworker,
grandkids.
Donnell? Because I got after her one day. She follows me over here every day after work, and I said, "Oh my gosh, you need to get off that website. You're gonna have no money." She's like, I love it though.
It's addicting.
Yes, it is.
Steven, are you ready to go?
Minute.
Or do you need a minute?
Deb's running a copy.
that's all mine.
Oh my
I
God.
said, if you want, I would watch your video and then I'll just cut you. She goes, no, I'll go.
Thank you.
I did tell her, you need to learn how to pack. Don't get a bigger truck.
She needs a whole pickup
Like
load.
Tetris.
Wow.
Ready? You ready?
Sure.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call. Steve,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Ken. Approval of
Yes.
agenda. In front of you, you do have the agenda. Are there any additional subtractions, movements that need to be made? One thing that I got, a discussion action on Rock Creek Development Agreement. We can probably wait till Monday to talk about that at that meeting. BJ hasn't got back in. We just went over those corrections yesterday.
So move that number 6 be deferred to the next meeting.
Five.
5.
Yep. Second. Moved by Steve, second by Doug. Discussion. Hearing none. Steve,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Citizens forum at this time. We'll take any discussion from citizens other than anything that is currently on the agenda. Okay, anything?
It was for the new development that I had questions.
Why don't you go ahead and, even though it's the agreement, it's going to be until next time.
When does plan and zoning see anything on the development?
That is up to the developer. What we were just going to discuss was the agreement itself.
The agreement that's going to be in front of the council is like a first offer, putting it on the table with the developer to see if there is something that can be agreed to, and in that agreement, there has to be an approved plat. And the agreement does not require the city to approve the plat.
Then, okay,
So it will be fully heard before P and Z and come to council to be approved before the agreement goes into effect. We may sign the agreement ahead of time, but the agreement does not require us to approve the plat. Does that make sense?
yeah, that makes sense to
Okay.
me. So if they're a developer, would they be doing the building, or would each individual, if they buy a lot, have their own builder?
Both.
There will be some lots that they will build, there'll be lots for sale that individual builders will build.
And the lots are like half acre?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Short.
Close.
No.
Short of a half acre.
They're short of a half acre, and if they were to sell those for $50,000,
What are you shaking your head?
I've got less than half an acre and mine's only 17,000. So why is it so high?
Because the market nowadays is a lot higher than that.
Oh,
You
this
go
is-
to anywhere around here, you're talking for a half acre, 100,000.
Easy.
70 to 100.
Not for residential.
Yes, for
Mhm.
residential.
Yes.
Yes.
Go buy a lot in Ankeny.
And the half acre is gonna
Ankeny
cost
is
you
different than
$250,000.
Huxley or
Or go buy a lot in Huxley or Cambridge.
You're in that golden triangle there.
Oh, that's where we wanna
considered
be.
Ames. But we're not in that.
We're right on the edge. You've got
Yeah.
Ames,
Well,
you
what's-
got
what's-
Ames, you got Ankeny, Des
what's the
Moines, Marshalltown.
consequence? What is your concern? That the
The-
price
The
is too
price is
high?
going to deter people from wanting to build. That's my
I'm
concern.
buying a lot.
Pardon?
I'm buying a lot and building a house.
None, got more money than a lot of people do that.
The a lot of lots in urban areas are about $70,000 with sewer, water, streets, and
And that's-
sidewalks in place. And whether it's Elkhart, whether it's up at Huxley, you can't. A lot over in Collins is going to be a lot less because it's not a new development, it's an existing lot. Whether or not $50,000 is too much or not, if it's too much, then what's going to happen is we will have a street, we will have sewer, we will have water, we'll have everything ready. And if the developer doesn't get it built, it has to lower the prices. I think the agreement says that they can't charge more than 50,000.
You are correct.
So if they have to lower the prices, they have to lower the prices.
And you can go on to YouTube and watch one of our other meetings as well. It has in there, we went over a Story County housing study, in which case it said that Maxwell, if I remember correctly, we're needing 100 new houses by 2030 or 2040, something like that. So, because people are wanting to get out of the bigger towns and come.
That's why I'm here. 15 years ago. Tax abatements.
Our tax abatement will expire in June 30th of 2023. The plan right now is to not renew that. And with that new lot, it would be set up as a TIF district. So it would make no sense to keep a tax abatement because the TIF district wouldn't work.
even if we renewed a tax abatement, it would not apply to that area because would be a TIF area. And you can't get TIF and tax abatement.
Okay, when we built next door to you, there was, and Doug, you're in on that too, covenants. Will there be any covenants specifically as to what you can and can't build, do and not do?
That's part of
That'll
the
be
zone.
something that'll come in front of P and Z for review.
Okay, that goes to P and Z.
Yep.
Because I think the development up there looks as good as it does is because of the covenants that were in effect.
There are no covenants in effect right now, right?
Oh, I know that, but what I'm saying is I do believe that that's a good idea. And the covenants that we had, I was told, was pretty much what the city had decided this is what it needs to be. So they were pretty much in agreement with what city regulations were.
Well, I was on the council at the time,
Okay,
and Doc Owens brought forward a set of covenants
mhm,
that were more restrictive than what the city code required. And P and Z at the time reviewed them and recommended them to the council. The council agreed to the plat, but agreeing to the plat means that the developer then needs to record and enforce the covenants. The city did not set any covenant requirements on the property. It was Doc who said he wanted it to be built like this.
well, I'm just saying, since it's part of the Rock Creek area, I think a lot of those covenants would be a good idea for,
And that would
You could
certainly be
consider.
something that P and Z should review and talk to the developer about.
okay,
Some of those covenants may still be a good idea, some of them may
Yeah.
be a little out
Yeah.
of date, who knows?
Doug, what,
And some of them may never have been enforced, and so why have them?
yeah, they pretty much were,
Uh,
even years down the road, there were some that were.
There were some that weren't though. The swimming pool one,
Oh,
for example, I think
I agree
was
with
in
that,
there, but
yeah.
I don't know that it was ever
Oh.
enforced.
That was a personal thing for Doc, though.
that's my point.
So, yeah.
You review them and
But as
you
far as
see what's appropriate.
they were color-wise, you couldn't paint it purple. You know, it had to be, you know, that type of thing would affect that
Although
area.
purple's kind of popular now.
I was thinking my green.
They were earth tones, I think is the way it was described, and I think that's part of the reason that area looks nice. Okay. Thank you, guys.
You bet.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Have a nice night.
You'll have a crack at it.
Well,
You're still on P and Z, right?
No, not any.
Oh, not anymore?
I
Okay.
had to leave because I had total hip replacement.
Oh,
Yeah, I couldn't move, so now I can move again. Maybe I will be.
There you go.
have a good evening.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on. Excuse me. Just,
Mayor.
Heimlich.
You got COVID?
Golly.
That was months ago. Discussion and action on matching commitment to the Story County Housing Trust,
Is that what,
SCHT.
With colored pictures.
Do not try to pronounce that on video. So what they're asking from us is $479.
out of the current year or out of next year?
It says starting in FY '23.
Well, I move we, defer action on this until, after item 8.
Okay. After item 8.
That was a motion made by Steve,
Second.
second by Megan. Discussion.
Hearing none. Lauren,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Doug.
Yeah.
Ken.
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah.
Item 7, discussion and action on cemetery mowing. If you remember correctly, the last meeting we had, we discussed Dave Pomeroy to mow our cemeteries, which he's done in the past. And he did confirm with Deb that prices would stay the same. And said something about the possibility of not doing Peoria, is that correct?
Yes.
To fit us in?
No, he's gonna be cutting back.
No.
So he said that if we weren't going to pick him up, that he would drop us and
Gotcha.
go to Peoria. But he
Catch that.
preferred to do Maxwell.
So what Deb said was, he's trying to cut back. And if we were not to renew him for next year, he would completely drop us because he still has like Peoria cemetery on that. Sure. As well, so. And I believe it was $650
Yes.
for the main cemetery, and then 25
$250.
per year.
No, yeah, for the whole year.
Yeah, for the whole year for mine cemetery.
And $625 per
Time.
time. Has that price ever increased? Has it ever gone up?
Not since I.
Okay.
Has he done it 3 years now?
I think it's more than that.
More than 3?
4.
4? I thought maybe it was different the first year and about the second year, but I know it's been the same.
I think, yeah, the second year, I think he went up because gas prices went up.
That being said, is there any other discussion on that item? And or is there a motion to approve Dave Pomeroy as our mowing service for the cemetery? Moved by
Maybe.
Ken,
Second.
second by Lauren. Discussion. Hearing none. Megan,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Ken,
Yeah.
Steve,
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
Moving on. Discussion and action on budget 22-23. You're gonna have to reach it.
Oh, yeah, I'm too short.
Make
Just
sure
flip
when
it
they
down.
remodel, they
Yeah.
put
Those are the
the,
wrong numbers though.
Put it at dead level, huh?
I did the wrong numbers.
Well, the first yellow one.
Well, I have to eat.
Did you-
199.
thank you.
Oh, because Steve handed out the update.
He's new handout, right? Doesn't agree.
But the numbers are gonna be close, so
Okay.
you can leave that up there. There's only a couple of small changes.
So, Steve, I had, and maybe this isn't the time to discuss the library. Does that come down at a different?
We will have we'll be going through the library on expenditures and revenues. So why don't we hold the discussion until we get to that program?
Yep.
Our task tonight is to review all the by line item, all the expenditures and revenues in total. So what we've done before is on a program by program or department by department basis. We've gone through wish lists, and like the fire department or the EMS department would like to have this or that, and we put it down, and now we're to a decision point. And the decision point is going to have to be based upon whether or not we can balance the budget. And so pages 1 through 4 of the worksheet summary shows where we are in balancing the budget, which we have to do fund by fund. And in the general fund, we are still on the numbers that I handed out this morning, $19,000 in the hole. Found a couple of other changes that need to be made. So on this sheet, it's $21,000, $21,100 in the hole. Could we approve the budget with $21,100 in the hole? Yes, it just means that we would be reducing our cash on hand. Is it a good idea to approve a budget where we know we're in the hole? No. If you make a habit of it, then it's going to be like the federal budget, and yeah, you're in the hole forever. So, yeah, if we
Not
could.
Bitcoin, that's what.
So, the various funds that we have are, the first set is the general, where we're $21,000 in the hole. The next is the Washington Township Trust. They always give us more money than we spend. So that's $16,000 to the good. That does not wipe out any of the 21,000. Every fund has to be separate. So the Emergency Trust Fund is $8,000 to the good. The road use tax is balanced, and the reason it's balanced is we take what we expect to get. We take all the expenses that we have except for street work, and we put that in there, and then whatever we have left goes to the streets. So when we get to that program, you'll see how much money this budget allows for streets. So it looks balanced, but it's still going to be a problem because there's not a lot of money for putting down seal coat. The next one is employee benefits. What we tax, we turn around and spend on the employees, so that one's balanced. The next page is emergency fund total. That's what we get in from taxes. We transfer into the savings account in Fund 19, which is why it's positive. The utility franchise, we get money in and we use it on projects within the right-of-way, so it's balanced. The local option sales tax, get $110,000 in. This budget's proposing that we use $106,000 of it for community betterment, and all that community betterment is in balancing the general fund, which still is not balanced. But you know, we'd have another $3,500 to throw against that 21 or 19, and it still wouldn't be balanced. So moving on, ARP funds, we're going to have to figure out how this is going to be spent, and they finally come out with the final rules, and There are people at the Chamber of Commerce who can help us with those rules. They're helping a lot of other small towns in the area. So we need to make sure we start working on that, because we don't have a certain amount of time before it has to be turned back in. Debt service. This is our bond, and so what we tax turns around and is spent with the bonding authority, so it's balanced. The capital project fund, this is the Baldwin project. We've been putting money aside every year so that we have cash on hand so that we have to borrow less. The $50,000 that is shown here as a positive is because we're transferring money into this capital savings fund so that we'll have additional money available. If you look at the previous years, we put in $55,800 in fiscal year 21. We budgeted $55,800 for the current fiscal year, budgeting another $55,800. So we have about $165,000, $70,000 sitting there for that $700,000 project. We're getting there. We're getting there. Water total is positive. Sewer shows that it's negative, but that is, both of those will be positive in the final budget. It's just that we're still working with Tiana on getting the sewer numbers correct. And then the final one is the sewer loan, and of course that's balanced at zero. Overall, the total budget, we have more money coming in than going out, but that doesn't really mean anything because we have to do it fund by fund, not a total budget. So that's kind of where we are. We need to find places where we can trim the budget, or we need to decide that we're going to find other sources of revenue or something so that this budget can go to hearing on the first Monday in March. So now we're on page 5, which starts the expenses, and the expenses run through page 12. So 5 through 12 are all the expenses, line items that we have in this budget. And then we'll go through the revenues. Some of these numbers, well, if you look at if you see a number that's grayed out, it's because that number came from a departmental project worksheet. So everything under fire was reviewed by the township and the city and recommended for approval. But if you see on the far right side, any place where there are 4 little bracket signs. That is a line item where the proposed budget is more than 150% of what we spent last year. So last year, the year before we spent about 5,000. Last year we spent about 2,600. We budgeted 2,500. So far, we've spent 2,000 halfway through the year. So it may be close to 4,000. A budget of 5,000 may not be excessive, but anytime you see a bracket, it's because the budget is a significant increase from what we spent last fiscal year.
What's our payment to other agencies under fire? I know it is for EMS.
That's, well, Deb,
It's, training calls, that kind of thing, or,
It comes out of that.
yeah,
so it's the payment to the firefighters for showing up at fires and going to training.
yes.
Anything else?
I would have to go back and look.
Okay.
And are they upping that? Is that why?
No, there wasn't a proposal to up it.
There was on EMS, but I don't
Yeah.
remember fire.
Say that's a good place to start.
Now, current year, we're only budgeted 2,500, but we're already,
2110.
already at 2,110, and we're only halfway through the year.
Maybe there'll be less arson cases next year.
Well, this does not include the arson.
Oh,
Oh,
that's true.
you said this includes training? Why we have training up line 230?
I think that's training to go.
It's training and conferences. Okay, so then this would be in-house.
Yeah.
Okay.
When the members show up in-house
To-
for training, yeah,
They
as opposed to
Payment.
having to
Payment.
pay
I
a tuition to go to training.
Maybe these are specifically emergency services are the ones that I hate to cut, but we're not really cutting, right? We're just,
Well, I don't know. It appears as though the 5,000. We also remember that we are only paying.
Oh, that was also physicals this year.
What?
It was also physicals this year.
which means they don't have to do it for another 2 years. Every other year.
Physical in the current year?
Yeah, they had physicals this year.
We're only paying a percentage of that because the townships
pays part.
pay part of it, and see what our percentage is. So,
Which would make sense too, because when you look
fire,
at FY20, it's 4,900, which would have been a fiscal year.
Right.
we're
skip
paying,
21.
we're paying about a third of the cost. So 1/3 of the $5,200, we reduce it, and
It's about
17,
17.
and we're also reducing the amount of money we get. Because 2/3 of that $5,000 is revenue from other sources.
But we don't have to budget for physicals in
Right.
FY '23.
In 23.
So take it down to 3,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
And then we'll just have to remember that for next year, that it'll be,
We have,
FY '24 will be fiscal
Fiscal
year.
year.
And taking it down to 3,000 reduces our expenditures by 2,500, but it also reduces our revenue by 2/3, which would be about 1,400. So we don't really save the full $2,200.
Right.
But yeah, $3,000 is probably more in line with what we'll spend. On the EMS side,
This was a big one for me, going from 2,000 to 10,000 for training. I get we upped or they're going to up their call money, training money.
well, the $10,000 is because we're adding new people, and they need to be certified. And so every time we add a new body that is not certified, they need to go to training.
And do we know that cost? Is that something they should just look up? Is that EMS program
I think
The one I just paid was $1,100
for one person?
for one person.
And so what this does is it allows like up to 8 people to be trained, which with the number of respondents that number of people are responding now, do we need more? Yes. Is $10,000
But on the other
too
side of
much?
that,
I don't know.
we're gonna get less revenue again, right?
Yeah.
So,
On the EMS side, I think it's more than a third. We pay more than a third.
yes. So I got a question down here on this other sheet with the salaries. I see we have $1,000 for 6 months.
Salaries on where?
There's a sheet
Just
here
the
that-
individual
all the
sheet.
salaries.
Oh, that's something Doug provided?
I ran those numbers, yeah.
Okay, I see you got $1,000 for 6 months of EMS chief and $1,000 for the other 6 months for the chief when the budget runs, so actually only $1,000 a year.
That doesn't sound right, does it?
Because back when Shelby was chief, he got paid $250 and Nancy took over on the $750.
Well, that $1,000 was
Is the stipend
is
they
spent
get,
in
right?
December. And don't we issue those checks in December of every year?
Yes.
So in that 6 months of fiscal year 22, we did spend $1,000, but it was the whole year's.
But it is the
$1,000.
full commitment since it was paid in that first 6 months. Because the whole year's the same $1,000.
And so Scott, who's the new EMS chief,
we'll get
will
another
get his $1,000 December of
22.
23, or December of 22, which is fiscal year 23.
Okay.
So that $1,000 shown for Scott should not be there. Right, Doug?
Should be 500.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
you got-
it's not gonna be anything.
Should be.
It'll be 0 until December, a year from now.
Right. And you don't have a column,
I didn't go projected, this is just past history.
right? So that 1,000 is a 0.
Well, somebody will get 1,000 for 22.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Leslie,
Tanya.
Tanya
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah. Right. Okay, I follow what you're saying, yes, then.
Oh, that last column is the estimated amount for fiscal year 22. So it would be $1,000 under Leslie. They don't add together. For the entire fiscal year of 22, Tanya Leslie got $1,000.
Right.
And
And it'll be
so
a 0 on the other, because it's not 2,000
it
total.
should be 0 for Scott because he won't get his
He won't get paid
1,000
until
until
then,
next fiscal year.
Right.
Even though he's doing
The job.
work during half of this fiscal year.
Correct.
Which maybe you go back to Patterson and Pritchard, maybe that $1,000,
Because it looks there like he only worked 3
Yeah.
months out of the year.
No, that's the year,
Les-
that's the
Leslie-
year that
did
Shelby.
Leslie put in 12 months?
Okay. Or, I mean, she worked 9 months and then
he-
he worked the other 3. And then he was chief for a whole year after that.
Well, Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to pay Tanya or put down there the 500 for Tanya, and
well,
500
she
for
got the
Scott,
check.
but she got the check for $1,000.
She got the check.
Because on our side, it's fiscal year, but really, on their side, it's calendar. year.
Calendar.
So did she perform the duties for 12 months?
Yeah, because Scott didn't take over until February.
So if she performed the duties for 12 months, she earned $1,000.
Do we know, so going down to item 413 under EMS. I'm assuming we spent more than $18,000 this year for Cambridge.
Well, as of December, we had paid out $7,685. And since then, we've paid Cambridge
Another 4,000,
additional.
3,500. Okay.
And this proposal would raise the reimbursement rate for EMS. And I can't remember what they wanted it to be because that'd be something that they would need to come,
I think it was like $50 a call, wasn't it?
Something like that.
So right now it's what? Per call?
I think it was 20. I think they raised it last year
to 10.
to 10. And now we're bumping from 10 to 50.
So 5 times.
But I thought it was doing like Cambridge, $100 a call, and whoever's on that call shares the
Was it?
$100
That could be it too.
with the,
Weren't they split that? And then what he was saying was if you had 2 people show up for that $100 call, one person get the 100 and another person one person gets 50 and another person gets 50.
yeah. So however many's in that call would split that $100. Except the person doing the paperwork would get more.
Right.
Is what he was talking.
Right, I remember that.
Okay, look at fiscal year 20. for that line item. We
Yep.
spent $4,200.
Yep.
And we were reimbursing at what cost? $10?
$10.
And we didn't have any Cambridge expenses. So this is just calls. And if you increase that by a factor of 5, going up to $50, then that's $20,000.
Yep. Okay.
So 18,000 may be consistent with a $50 and no cost from Cambridge. Or if we don't respond, it would be the same as paying
Okay.
2 of our people to go out, because Cambridge would charge us $100, right?
Correct.
Okay. I see where we're going with this now. Can we come back to emergency later? Let's see what we can do with everything else and then come back to that, because
Yeah.
I think that's
And
gonna be our last ditch.
Again, anything unless we're gonna be reducing something significantly,
It really doesn't make any
you
sense.
reduce the revenue also.
Yep.
The building inspection, I have a highlight in yellow. Deb and I sat down and looked at the last 5 years worth of building inspections. What you have here is fiscal year 20 and 21. And if you look at the building inspection expense and you flip back to building inspection revenue, we're getting less revenue than what we're spending, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. The reason it is like that, as Deb pointed out, is that we've had a couple of really big building permits for the school, and we've had to have Snyder come out and do some of the inspection on it, and that money had to be paid for from someplace, and so she put it under building inspections because that's what they were doing. They were inspecting because of the permit. So for these 2 years, our costs for building inspections exceeded our revenues. I've also asked Deb to take a look with safe buildings and see whether or not, if this happens in the future and there are special inspections needed, whether that can then be billed to the permit holder. And she said she would look into that with safe building. I took the 3 previous years and looked at the revenue and expenses, and over those 3 years, revenue and expenses balanced. So whatever we spent, we received. Of course, it wasn't exact, because if we issue the permit in one fiscal year, we get the revenue. We pay it in the next fiscal year when the inspections are done, and so it doesn't balance exactly. We take 3 years, it averages out. Perhaps we should be charging more on the permits, and that's another thing we need to talk to Safe Building. But I changed the number. You can see there was $11,000 worth of expense, almost $12,000 worth of expense, and it was because we were our revenue was only 72% of the expense. Well, if it's the revenue and the expenses balance, and you take a look at the years fiscal year 18 and 19, 17, 18, and 19, we had about $6,000 worth of building permits. Now, will we have more building permits if this development goes in? Yes. How much more? Who knows?
Hopefully 28, right?
Well, in one fiscal year,
4 year,
maybe get 4. That hasn't been agreed to.
3,
Maybe 3, maybe 2,
maybe 5.
maybe 5. And
Still
how
shoot
much
for that
how much
28.
does a building permit cost for a new house?
Real much. What is it, jack of all trades?
I don't know, I'd have to go back and look.
Who built a new house recently?
Me.
Okay, how much did you pay on the building
I
permit?
don't even remember.
Oh.
That was so long ago.
Over 1,000, wasn't it?
It's over 1,000, I think.
So
Depending-
$6,000, that would be maybe 3, 4 new houses and some miscellaneous permits. It might be a good number. So I've changed that one to $6,000, and on the revenue side, made it exactly the same, $6,000. I don't see anything else on page 5. So moving on to page 6. Garbage contract. Doug and I have been wrestling with this. These are the most current numbers, I believe.
I'm fearing we're about 2,000 short on it.
Well, we're going from 72,000 up to 88,000. If we're still 2,000 short,
Wait a minute. I'm on the wrong page.
you're on page 6.
Try again. Okay. If that's what you've got, yeah, we should be fine.
And Deb and Doug were working on the December and January bill. And what we billed to our customers, the number of customers that we billed is less than the number of customers for which we were billed by the garbage company.
Right at 40.
And
We
so,
billed 306 customers. Deb had
Billed us for
306 people,
346.
and 346 was 1 month's numbers.
and this assumes 336.
And I think part of that was we had people like the bank who used to contract on their own.
Correct.
And so now Pratt, obviously we use Pratt now. And they just picked up the garbage can and now we have a Pratt garbage can. So
Okay.
I think that's part of the issue.
But we should have had them in there as a customer, and apparently we didn't.
We were not the bank was not a customer before this year. Before you guys switched to Pratt, we had a different, we were on our own.
Okay. So in December, did you have $17 on the
Should have,
garbage bill?
Yeah, should have.
Okay.
Now, I know that.
I don't know
Methodist-
because I wasn't there,
I
but
don't-
should have, yeah.
I don't think it happened that way because the Methodist Church had an independent contract with Aspen, I guess it was at that point. Since then, the Methodist Church has not been billed because I think Aspen or Pratt thinks that we are billing. They're picking up garbage as if we were being paid, but the church has not been billed. And it's not something you say, oh my goodness, we didn't get that bill.
Right.
So the church is more than willing to make it up, but I wonder how many more cases like this.
Yeah.
that
Well,
there
I
are.
don't think the city should be back billing anybody because we failed to bill them in the past. Let's just get it right now.
Right.
Well,
I agree.
and the city didn't, I don't think the city failed to do anything because of the fact that these people had independent contracts aside from the city's
And it's just something Pratt
Yeah,
didn't know,
assume.
assumed
Yeah.
that, so really,
Pratt assumed we had everybody already.
right,
Right, so it's not the people's fault, let's get
No.
it straight.
But we were short $510 both months from
And
balancing.
so,
And I'm guessing it's
more-
probably a lot of the businesses and churches
Very possible. Yeah.
instead of individuals.
Now, you do have Rock Creek Church, you said already is converted over.
Mhm.
But the other two churches, I haven't talked to any Presbyterians, but I did talk to our treasurer there, to Methodist.
Presbyterians, we talked about their Democrats.
No, just gonna find out.
so
I apologize.
I believe
For
Doug
the record.
and Deb are, or Deb by herself, are comparing addresses that Pratt has given us, addresses that we have, and just going down for all 300 and odd and finding which ones they're doing that we're not billing. We'll add them as bills. And I still think that this $88,000 is a good number.
I do too.
Once we
but I
get
was
it
looking at the wrong sheet.
straightened
I agree with you.
And it shouldn't say from EMS worksheet, it should say from.
Garbage worksheet.
It should just say, we don't have a garbage worksheet.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess we do, from garbage
It was
worksheet.
in the garbage.
Those are garbage numbers, Steve.
Yes, they are.
Your numbers are all garbage.
Every number here is garbage.
garbage, Doug.
Vehicle, let's see. There are no other brackets on this page. The library, direction of the council was to keep the total new budget the same as the current budget, which it does. In order to do that, we had to reduce their the amount of money that they have for technology services and
Library, I thought it was library
Library.
materials.
library materials.
Materials, I thought.
Yes.
Mhm.
We reduced library materials.
I think we need to go over this area again with a fine tooth comb. Just because of things that have happened in the past, well, since I've been on.
The past 3 years, I mean, it's been a struggle getting things from them. They won't even send us a budget. I know there's concerns out there right now with how they are running things over there. They're blaming the city council or the city for not paying their bills when they're not even giving us their bills on time. And it is required by the state that we give them, what, $1,700? Is that correct?
Yes,
Obviously, we don't want to shut them down, but we want to make sure that, especially for the kids that go there, I know that's used a lot with kids, but I know there are some frustrations over there. And I think they need to be held accountable. So I don't know what that looks like. If you reduce the salary line item and keep the library materials there, so
well, we could certainly change any of these line items to whatever we want. It doesn't make any difference because
they can use it.
they can use it, the total amount that we give them, however,
Correct.
they cannot exceed the total.
Right.
But they
So-
can use it in any way they choose.
Yeah, the state trumps us in that category.
But we could say, worst case scenario, we could say, you know what, we're only budgeting $1,700 for you guys. Right? Because that's all we have to give them.
So that would go from
$33,860 to $1,700.
1,700.
I wouldn't vote for that, but because they have a summer youth program, they have a lot of other programs.
We reduce it by $21,072. That still gives them $11,000.
We are required to give them $1,700 and $40. But I think that the community expects more than that.
Council thoughts?
Well,
I should go first.
I agree in so many ways. I agree that we do not get even half of what we need to be getting from them. We don't get a monthly report. I have yet, since I've been on council, had a chance to see their state report that they have to send in every August. But with that said, I'm gonna reiterate because I was the library director at one time. We give them a budget. That's it. What they do with it is up to them. Are they going to, if we lower their budget, are they gonna take less for salary? No.
No.
They're gonna keep not getting materials in. They're gonna quit having the technology services, and they may even have to eliminate their summer reading program because I guarantee the people that work there are not gonna take less.
How do we stop? Is that
We
the
can't.
governing body that could stop that?
We cannot.
You don't want to take the
The state,
Steve's right. You don't want to take away the materials. You don't want to take away the technology. You don't want to do all that. But how do we
Bridge the gap.
bridge the gap between the staff and the kids and the families and the?
Well, which council people are responsible for the library now?
Me. No, I'm not. I'm
Yeah,
not.
you.
Uh-uh.
No. No.
No, it's not me and you. Deb, who's on library? Sorry. I don't think I have my copy with
I
me.
didn't bring my
I don't
copy.
have it. Boy, I
No,
swear.
because I'm Betterment and Parks and Open Spaces.
I am library.
You are library.
And maybe the way to bridge the gap is to have the two council people.
Actually, it's Ken.
Who? Ken?
I don't even read.
Ken and Lauren?
It's okay, they got movies.
They can watch
They got
movies, they got-
Hey, Braille. If
They-
not,
they
we're gonna
should.
put it in it so we can have
They
Braille.
should have audio books or whatever they're called.
So
Is it Ken and I?
Yeah.
Ken and I?
the two of you attend the next library board meeting and express the frustration.
When would that be?
I will
Usually the
message
last
Anna quick.
Tuesday of the month.
End of the month? Oh
Um,
dear. I'm not coming back to the 28th.
Are you going on vacation again, Kenneth?
Yes, I am.
He's going to Hawaii. You can zoom in.
I was gonna say that the other
Can I
thing
have someone
too
sit in
that
with
you
me?
could possibly do, I can go with you.
Okay.
The other thing would be to contact the district state representative and voice our concerns.
Could you repeat that?
The district representative, state representative.
So it's a library board
Mhm.
district.
There's 4 regions. The state's divided into 4 regions. There's 4 regional supervisors or state representatives
Okay.
that are over there for the state library.
From a program perspective, is council dissatisfied with the checking out of digital books, which is their technology expenditures?
I would say that's pretty important. I mean,
I would also.
I kind of was
is
the
that the
one who
bridges?
like tried to get it going, so I think that's very important. More and more people do it,
Is
and
that
yeah,
what they consider bridges?
I think it's called Libby now.
Libby.
Yeah, but yes,
It
it
used to be
was.
Bridges, and
Bridges,
before that
mhm.
it was something else.
Except it takes you forever to get a book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It does.
Uh,
If you want a new
what
release,
about the summer reading program?
that's absolutely important.
What about after school?
I don't think they do it anymore.
probably have
because
it
I think
because
it's
of
the
COVID.
church. No, because I think that the
No, they have movies.
do they have
They have movies
And then
2
they have
Wednesdays
a
a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dim on this 1 month.
Okay.
Wednesday.
I didn't know that. I thought the church
Programs
was
that
doing
they
that now.
do, that we think they do, that we certainly support.
Yeah.
The problem is, we aren't getting enough information about what they do in order to establish a budget. One thing we certainly could do is, instead of making it the same budget as last year's, we could go to the previous year's expenditures rather than last year's budget, which would be 28,000, reduces it by about $5,000. Because that's what they spent.
I would be more willing to do that. I would be more willing to vote yes. on
Yeah,
that.
I just think we need to send a message.
Mhm.
But I'll be at the next meeting. We can do
So
that.
hold off on the message, and what you can communicate is that the council may use the $28,000 as their budget, as opposed to the 33,000, because we have absolutely no idea what they're doing.
What are my boundaries when I'm there? What are my, do you know what I'm getting at?
We cannot control the library, and whatever you bring back as a recommendation, I know I will listen to it very carefully. So, and side with you.
Kind of like when I was in the parks and open spaces, I really didn't have a lot of input, because you guys have to control that.
Because they are their own governing
Right.
body.
Yeah, only more so for them. because
More
they
so
have a
for them,
separate
but I
board.
can help you, let you know what the actual state recommends.
Okay.
What the
And we
state
can't,
wants.
we can't call an audit, can we, on just the library? If we called the audit, it would have to be for the library and the city.
As far as I know, whenever the city gets audited, all they're doing is taking a look at whether or not our books are in order, not whether or not the programs are effective. And so the library, state library board may have a different kind of an audit where they're actually looking at effectiveness. I don't know.
Well, and there is, I mean, certain guidelines, like you're supposed to have an equal amount of different genres and then different types of materials. So you should have equal amounts of books, movies, technology, audiobooks, things like that, which I think honestly for me, because I use the library, that's my biggest like concern when I go over there, because they don't get in new books
And I guess I'm
and they
talking,
don't get in different genres, and they don't serve the community, they serve some of the community. And a public library is supposed to serve everybody. There should be something anybody in this community walks into that library and would want to check out.
and I guess I was talking more around the accounting book side of things over there.
Money, financials.
So yeah, so
Payroll,
you're
right.
saying if we give them 28,000, we want to see, I mean, these numbers aren't what
They necessarily,
they spend on there, right? They can take and put
I
that
mean, they
money
should be
anywhere, is
somewhat
what I'm
close. I mean,
saying.
But they
because they
can't
have
exceed
to,
their budget.
they,
they can't exceed their budget, but
Right, but,
we don't know
but
if
my
they're,
thing is, are they spending, $20,000 on grounds material compared to what they should be spending on equipment?
Well, if you
You
look
know what I'm
at,
saying?
well, you should be able to look at their bills. Do they still have to hand all their bills in to you, Deb? Or do
Yeah.
they have a separate credit card that they use? How does that work now?
They have a separate credit card, but it's a credit card I pay.
Okay,
So
So
are
we
just
should be
saying the
able to
amount of the
see-
credit card, or are we looking at the credit
well,
card?
no,
and
we should be
saying-
able to look at the bills though that they're bringing over that go with that credit card and see what types of materials. But the thing of it is that every year they have to do a report, an audit of their library
Okay.
for the state anyway. So once a year, all they would have to do is bring that report over to us and it would break it down as to, well,
Like
here's
books,
what I
books.
spent in March, April, May, June, July on books
It
and
will,
so on and so forth.
it will never know, like the petty cash situation over there. I don't know if you heard this or not, but their petty cash drawer doesn't even close. It's got so much cash. in it. So,
That would be a concern that I would have. They should have no more than $50.
Right.
Oh, if
petty
even, yeah, because I
But-
mean, fines are like next to nothing
Okay.
over there.
and we
No, they
can't,
have a $500 type cash.
but we
And it
can't
should be
specify that,
50.
right? That's all by the library board.
That
But
though
that would
becomes,
be-
that
that's
becomes a
what you
security
talk
issue
to
now
the
because,
Library board about.
and especially
Right.
since now we're on camera. I
That's
mean,
my
now I'm
opinion.
concerned for
Telling the
them.
whole world that.
Yeah, I know, we
Here's my-
really,
My other
Really
They
concern,
should be-
I
they
There's
should
a
be
go,
sign
put
on
in
the
this
front of the
this
library,
situation.
so there's no more
and
than
it turns
$25
into
cash.
a
right, $25
big freeze
is more than
drawer.
enough,
He's concerned, well,
more than enough.
she
Because
did this, she did that.
You're
if I
talking
pay
about
my
like
penalty in
where
my
do
book, what am I
I-
against that?
It could turn into
$2,
that,
so
and I
even if
don't
they
know
paid
my
the 20s,
boundaries.
you're gonna give them back
Take a
18
piece
bucks.
of paper and you say,
And the
okay,
next day
here's
they
your
could come over
concern.
here
I'll
they
write it
needed
down,
to,
I'll go back
and
and
have it out
research
of the
it.
safe.
I've heard that several
Uh,
times.
That is,
Don't
Not
get
from
into
this
any
one person.
arguments, just
Okay.
say,
you
okay,
never
here's,
pass that kind of money.
I got it, I got it,
It's
I
not
got it.
smart. Somebody breaks
Here's the
in, it's
council's
gone.
concern.
And they have it, so
I'll
3
take
years,
that.
right? They
And
get on here 3 years.
Yeah, we've
our
had no,
concern
no
is,
cash. We've got no cash.
your petty cash is, policy.
Bring
is
over
excessive.
checks, but that's it.
You have way too much cash in there. It's a security issue. It's, that your, collection isn't balanced, whatever.
Yep.
That we're not getting reports, on a monthly basis.
Bills,
or
I
an
know
annual
Deb struggles
basis.
with that.
You know, if they do an annual report, when do they do it?
In August.
In August?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
you work on it in August, I think it has to be
I
in
still
by
think we should.
September.
That's
Still do this.
probably
have this
the worst
conversation.
time ever. Well,
Still drop it.
yeah, I suppose if we had last year's, we could take that into account when we're doing the budget
Absolutely.
now.
So why wouldn't we be able to take it from the 33 to the 28 now, just to show them that
For the
this is
public.
what,
That's what I was just talking.
Go forward with that. They may convince you to, hike it
no,
back
I'm
up.
not thinking.
they
Next year.
could, I hope, that's their job.
We can hike it back
You
up.
can say that
Just leave
the
22.
council is looking at doing a budget at $28,000, because that's what you spent in fiscal year 21. And
Mhm.
With no information since.
we would
And
still
that's-
have time if we're holding the public hearing on March, the first Monday in March, to, well, we have to publish, right?
Yes.
So we will publish it with this number. You can always reduce, you can't increase. And so you
Oh.
come back and you say, now we're going to go with the 28, but we can put the 28 in there. It takes the budget down and you can have a lower budget. You just can't increase it. So we'd be able to do that at the March meeting.
Yeah, and I still want to reiterate, I think everybody here wants to see the library flourish and grow.
Absolutely, yeah,
So do the Friends of the Library
Yeah.
Board.
yeah.
They just had the soup chili cook-off. They want to see those things happen, but, and this will be,
Honestly, I have always wanted to see more programs.
right,
I think we could expand from just children's programming to adult book clubs and there's so many other opportunities that so many other libraries, and I get that our library staff is basically part-time because of the hours of operation and you can, I will say the state regulates, you cannot work more than so many hours over what the library is actually open.
That's one of
So-
the big concerns.
Yep. So, I mean, I do get that, but I think you could have programs right in there while the library's open.
Right.
And I think it would even flourish
So
even
would
more.
it be worth going to libraries in areas this big,
Like
town,
Cambridge.
seeing what they have for different programs that maybe we're not offering that they do that.
I can, yeah, I mean, I still am friends with people over in Huxley at their library, Jen over in Slater. I mean, we can easily see what all they offer.
Yeah, I think when you were over there, the council looked at it in detail, how much we were spending versus other towns our size.
Mhm.
And there are lots of towns our size that are spending half again as much as we are on the libraries.
And doing a lot more.
Right.
You know,
right, getting their money.
I know the lady over in Cambridge, I think she just retired. Was it just last year? And she had been there for, I don't know, probably 40 or more years. She had been there forever. And I mean, they had all kinds of programs and things at their library that they were doing. Same with Deering. And there's small communities like ours. I think the participation would be there if they can, you know, get it out to the public. And I don't know, I think they just need to
Right.
try. I think it would be there to
And I think
support
they need
them.
to come up with like a corrective action plan.
Right.
Sure.
If you want this money,
Mhm.
come with a correction action plan and tell me what you're gonna do differently.
Right. There's
How you're
nothing
gonna
been done
manage
to
your-
say that you are
Yeah.
going to get this, or
Sure.
you deserve this right now.
And I mean, if they need ideas and things like that, the state offers all that. The state library website is amazing
And
at
this is a-
materials. They can give them everything they need to do these things.
Megan, this is a whose responsibility when we say they can do this, they can do that. Who's that
Well,
responsibility?
because I've been a director and I've been in management for so long, it always falls on the person in charge. I mean,
Director.
it's gonna fall on the director. And then she has to rally her staff, her board, to get behind her and support her on these things. And I think her board will.
I don't see an issue with that.
I don't think so.
No.
So I never had a problem with my board supporting anything I wanted to do, so.
Deb, did you, what I asked earlier, is director, is that a hired staff position or voted?
It's hired by the library board.
Okay.
Approved by
Yeah, I
council.
was gonna say, I couldn't remember.
Well, I guess that completes page 6. Moving on to page 7 of 16.
Let that take a nap.
1/3 of the way there. On this page, Parks and Open Space Board did a budget. These are their recommendations. The line item for building maintenance is more than twice what we have in the current fiscal year. The line item for operational equipment repair is about $400 more, kind of insignificant, but it's still more than what we had in the current year. But it's more in line with what we actually spent in previous years. And they're asking that we put $5,800 aside for into a savings account for future capital equipment. Everything else is pretty close to what we had done in previous years. The budget is about, what, $15,000 more than what we budgeted this year, but it's pretty much in line with what we spent in 2021. Do we want to reduce the overall parks budget by a certain amount and then
I'll just say
prorate it back up?
5,800 is a weird number to me.
58.
For
Down
the
below,
parks
the
total.
park, down below on the capital equipment.
Yeah, let me go back to the parks budget detail and see if there's any information on
Unless
why
it
it's
was for a
5,800.
specific thing, do you remember? That just sounds like a weird.
It is a weird number.
Capital equipment program for parks, including $1,800 for backhoe.
That's what I was just gonna say, the back.
So 5,800,
Mhm.
$1,800 is for the amortization of the backhoe over a 15-year period, which is equally shared between parks, roads, water, and sewer. So each one of those four entities throws in $1,800 a year for the next 15 years, and 15 years from now, we'll have enough cash to buy a new backhoe.
Or repay the one we already bought, whichever way you're looking at it.
Well, the one we already bought, we're paying for out of cash on hand. So it's paid off. Now we need to save for the next one.
So the other 4,000 that we put in there,
Was for capital equipment program for the park, $4,000. I mean, we're going to be doing some repair on some equipment down there. There's a desire to replace the stage. Well, we gotta, do
Start
do
somewhere.
we save money for it, or do we leave that money in local option sales tax? And when it's time to do it, just hit up local option sales tax, say, well, we're gonna do a new stage, here it is. Just like we're doing the city hall remodel. It's coming out of local option sales tax,
because it's
out of the
community
cash.
betterment.
If we still have that, correct?
Correct,
Exactly.
yeah,
So
so
we
I
gotta
think,
save some.
I think we better
So
just
we're
keep
just
it
gonna
here.
keep that.
Yeah, that's something. Just to make sure.
The capital account is something new for them, right? Is that right?
Right.
They've not done that before.
No, I think that's wise, I think,
It's very wise.
I think it's good to keep
Mhm.
it there.
Yeah.
Then you don't get caught.
No,
When we go down to grounds maintenance for cemetery, 21,000. What are we repairing? Is that roadways in the cemetery? I
Just
know we-
mowing.
Just mowing?
That's just mowing.
How many times are we saying?
If you look at fiscal year 20, we spent about $18,000. We're budgeting $22,000 for the current year. In 2021, it was a dry year. We only spent $10,000.
It's 34, just for the big cemetery, you're talking 32
This is our contract.
times. Mowing at 32.
32 in a year.
Well, you get rain and you mow every week
mhm.
during the rainy
More than
period.
once a week.
Think of your own.
And sometimes,
think
yeah,
of your
you
own
know,
mowing.
you can't even go a week.
2-3 times a week.
And it has, you have mowing and you have string trimming and I think, you look at some of the dollar amounts there. Fiscal year 20 was wetter, fiscal year 21 was drier. Half The first half of fiscal year 22 was also dry. So we've only spent $7,000, but we get a wet spring and we could be back up.
Another 12 in.
And this is looking at fiscal year 23. So this is from July through September of next year, and then the mowing season in the
March, April,
spring,
May, June, June.
the year after that. So who has a good,
I was gonna say
who has a good forecast?
I
Not
did
Ed.
start going to school for meteorology and then decided not to because it's too much math.
Never too much math.
Yeah,
Oh, Douglas.
As the math.
I think the 22 or the 21,000 is, we don't have fiscal year 19,
I think
18,
it's fine.
17.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
I think it's consistent.
it's a reasonable guess, yeah.
So we're leaving parks at 73 for now.
Yeah, you answered my question there with the 1,800, so.
Let's see. We are required to spend a certain amount of money on economic development because we get a certain amount of money from the county for economic development. And what we've done is whatever they give us, we match, and then dollar for dollar, that gives us money to do things like the signs on the edges of town. I don't know, maybe the street signs can be paid out of that fund. There's
new place.
a list of
Digital
things that we can, that qualify. And what do we get, about $3,000, Deb?
Yeah.
And so these two line items are $3,500. Planning and zoning is also an eligible item, so there's $4,500. And if they give us 3,000 and we match it with 1,500, we'll look like good guys. That's why this money is there. It can certainly be zeroed out, but if we zero it out, then we reduce our revenue.
We lose the money, yes.
But we reduce our revenue by less than what we spend here, so.
What's the salary for mayor and council? You guys get paid?
You guys get paid for that?
Way too damn much.
Moving right along
I was
to
gonna say,
page 8.
See how we skipped over that?
Get right over it.
The next one that
that ATI will be footing the bill
Of 10,000, right?
this does
up
not,
to 13.
this does
Up to
not
13?
include any of those expenses.
Okay.
Because all that's gonna be done before July 1.
All right.
So 21,000, can that be reduced? Absolutely. We are on track for spending, this is where we use the attorney for nuisance abatement and to answer all of our silly little questions that we ask. And I certainly do ask
So we should probably up that
silly
to
little
30
questions.
I was gonna say,
My
bump
idea
it
is
down
great.
to
We're on track for what, 17,000?
17. Yeah.
Last year we spent 17, the year before that we spent 12.
Can we bump that down to 17?
Sure.
Yeah.
Gives us just a hair. Bit more
Maybe a
money.
little bit more. I think we're on like 18.
We're gonna keep calling them. We'll just call the shots.
17.5.
That's a goofy number.
How about
Not as
18?
goofy as 58.
18?
18.
Okay.
18.
I
Hope
did
we
a
don't
best
need it.
guess on building maintenance, city hall, 30,000. We have 20,000 budgeted this year. We talked about a maximum budget of 50,000, so 30,000 next year. If we spend the whole thing this year, then this becomes zero.
Okay.
It'll still be a budget of 30, but we won't spend anything. And we will take the cash, pay the contractor out of the current year, so we still have spent the 50,000. We just have to do a budget amendment.
Long overdue.
So
Indeed.
I would say, even though that's the best guess, leave it there.
Yep.
City hall total expenses, 49,000. Because of that additional 30, you take that out, and that's 19,000 compared to what we did in the last couple of years, 19,000, 19,000.
18, 19, yep, that fits.
It's consistent. The insurance expense, 21,700 is what we did off the insurance worksheet.
We may have to up that.
We get hammered more.
They, I think she told us 9% is what Melissa said. And I think we upped it to 10%, but the actual numbers came in and I think they're looking at 11%.
So we have actual numbers now.
I don't think they were actual yet. She was
They
gonna
weren't
run those.
actual yet.
But
Will we have actual numbers in the next 2 weeks?
we can reach back out to her. I mean, text her quick.
Anybody else?
Okay.
Hit me.
Don't
ask
ask
again.
again.
The slow pitch softball.
No, thank you. Mainly because I don't want it. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, here, I'll let you
No,
have
I'm
that
just
one.
kidding.
You got a wind up.
Oh, they're good.
And I will.
That was quick. She said, unfortunately, we do not have numbers back yet. When do we need to know by?
2 weeks. We pay for the insurance bill out of the water fund, the sewer fund, fire, EMS, and general. So we split the bill 5 ways. And what you see here is the portion that the city is spending out of the general fund. 21,700. The total bill from all sources is 47,260. So about half of it comes from these other areas. And so what we're going to need is not only the total, but the detail as to we're being charged X number of dollars that is attributable to sewer, attributable to water, attributable to fire, EMS. And so we'd have to have the detail, and we go through that detail and say, well, this portion is really fire and so forth.
Am I on the right page now?
You're one
You're
that
one.
go up one more. There you go.
There you go.
Mhm.
instead of 17,490, it got corrected
21/7.
21/7.
to 21,7.
I like your other number better.
So do I,
Yeah.
but it was wrong. And so if the total bill goes up, we have to have the details so that we can get it
Divvy it out.
correctly
Yeah,
appropriated.
allocated, right.
She says she's also gonna fight for us. Because she did say 11%. She would see what she can do once she gets the numbers in. 228 would be on a Monday. Is that too late if I set up a meeting with her on the 28th?
When we publish the total budget, right?
Yep.
Deb?
Yeah,
And that publication has, if we're going to be hearing it on March what is that?
7th, first Monday.
March the 7th, it would be in the paper the previous Thursday. It
no,
would
it
go
has
to the
10
paper
days.
the previous Friday.
It's 10 days.
So it would have,
10 days. Okay, so it's not. So it would be in the paper February, what is that?
24th.
20, is that the 24th?
Yeah.
It was
And
to the
it
paper
would
this
be to
Friday,
the paper the Friday before that.
which is this week.
This week.
I'm gonna be gone part of Friday, so
Well, and the latest we can approve the budget is March 30th, right?
Yep.
So should we just say we're not gonna make the March meeting and it's the March, and we're gonna have a second budget only meeting on,
the 14th.
say, March, 21st?
My birthday,
Isn't it your anniversary today?
21st.
21st? I thought you had an anniversary.
Because if it's the
That was a random
21st, you
thought.
go back 10 days, it'd be in the
That's next
paper
meeting.
Next
on the
weekend?
10th, it'd be to the paper on the 4th, which would be,
The week
to
after
answer your question, Jameson,
We
the
can make it work.
28th would not be, or whatever, would not be too late,
Okay.
but it would be close to the last. we can do it.
I'll tell her that will be the last day we have a meeting. And I'll make sure that I invite you to it as well.
And we need the detail at that time. Now, our general fund budget is a little under 600,000. Which is about $90,000 more than what we've spent in the past, or what we have for the current year. And we've reduced it by what, about
$4,000.
$5,000, $6,000 so far,
Whoops,
which isn't close to the 21. that we
another
did.
80 more than we'll be back where we were last year.
Back to the library.
Well, the library, let's take a look here. $2,200 on payment to others on fire, and another 5,700, so that's on the library, so that's $7,000. Yeah, 7,000. And another on legal services, another 3, so that's $10,000 down. So we're halfway there on the $20,000.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Why do they need $8,000 in parks on grounds maintenance?
I think when they net that the $8,000 was to cover repair of equipment down there.
I think that also includes the trees that we might need to replace once the ash trees are taken out, Deb.
Okay.
Fire, let's see if I have the notes.
I think. I hope you.
I think you're right. It was tree planting.
And they're about $200, I think, a piece wholesale cost from Mr. Tree Hugger. Denny?
Can you get it from Trees Forever or?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Alliant,
We're
which are
open
free.
to all prices, of course.
And this was on which line item?
63
Grounds?
20 crowns in
Yeah.
parks.
Well, maybe we reduce that.
It's
I
200.
was just curious.
Where are we at?
Parks,
Paid what?
7.
The grounds maintenance repair, in the past, we spent $1,000, we spent $10,000. We're budgeting for, in the current year, we're going up to 8. And the reason that that the Parks Department recommended 8 was tree replacement down in the park, $200 a piece. And normally, we would spend maybe about $3,000 on grounds. So $5,000 at $200 a piece is 25 trees.
Will we be doing all that in fiscal year 23? I mean, 8 are only being removed at one time.
Mhm.
But I can't remember what else may have been in
Every
that.
tree you take down, there's just plant
Garbage.
2 or 3.
Garbage.
You
Trash
remember
cans
garbage
were in
cans?
there. That's right. Those small projects were in there. Trash cans are about $700-800 a piece right now. But
You can always push that to the following year or do a fundraising.
fundraising stuff.
Currently, we're on track for a $7,000 expenditure,
Just kidding.
7,200. So are we,
7,500, we knock 700 off of that one.
Of what? The 8,200?
Yeah.
What if you just cut it in half?
4,100?
Yeah.
It'd be close to what we have budgeted this year.
Plus it gives us another 4,000. That puts us at 8,000 that we've cut so far.
We've already spent 3,600 though.
Can we go back to the library? Parks is doing a great job.
Oh, we haven't touched emergency services yet.
What's that?
We were going back to emergency
Yeah.
services.
I
That
would
needs to
hate to
revisit.
cut there too. That would hurt.
The 3,600.
Now, let's pick up $4,000 there, let's, $4,200.
Instead of the 82,
Yeah,
42.
what was that 3,600 from last year so far?
It included a bike stencil.
Which we won't have purchasing one.
Correct. Oh boy.
Paint,
The paint that Tony picked up.
which we would be doing annually, so that would be part of the ongoing expense.
We're gonna have to buy that tube piece for that, and that's gonna be another 600 or 700 yet in this budget.
That's
Is
right.
that
That's
covered
probably
under insurance or what?
Nope, it's expired, or the warranty expired.
warranty is expired, but was that, and we couldn't prove that it was derecho damage. It was probably
Vandalism.
vandalism.
Is that what happened?
Nope, no trees close, darn it.
Yes.
Yeah, but you know what was
I
close to
believe
it?
there was a huge
Was-
tree.
I think there was a
Top of
big,
it.
big building beside it that got picked up from the duration of
And-
slaving.
And then moved on.
You mean the big building that collapsed
Did one of
straight
those
down?
billionaires drop an asteroid on
I
it?
think-
Or,
I
I
think
just
it,
want to know if
I
we're talking
think
about
it
the same
swung one
building.
way and then it went back.
It picked it up.
And stuff did move though.
Just-
didn't it?
well, you know what?
the bubble.
Wind does
And then-
amazing
Then
things.
put it back. And then it just kind of bounced off.
It was in circular motion is what I hear too. It
Yeah.
went
I
down.
can guarantee that.
Well,
God, what was that, Steve? I can't remember all of our expenses.
I didn't get it down in my notes, so
Well, have we?
Jody
Like
has it
simple.
on her notes that she gave to me, but I didn't transfer it.
Was it re-roofing
Paint.
the church stand or was that all insurance?
That was all.
Rewiring the church stand is the line right above it, $4,000 on building maintenance and repair.
But we
It
aren't
hasn't
sure
burned down
that. Yeah, we aren't sure that was just a story that somebody had said to somebody else, right?
Right, we don't have a quote, right?
Right. And if it's less than that,
And what were we planning on doing?
the rewiring,
I mean, like just taking all the wiring out and putting it into the
Putting it back up
outlets or
to code because somebody
back up to code?
said something that was not up to code and that it was kind of jerry-rigged together, so.
Okay.
Deb, does that include, where is mowing for parks?
Grounds.
Mowing for parks would be salary.
and then we also have some
Equipment or
vehicle
operating
repair
supplies.
and some of that in there.
I can't figure out why that 3,600, I can't get that total. That, and not that it has strictly anything to do with parks, but I'm trying to figure out what
What
else.
it would be. So let's do this too. Let's take that 4,000 that's on top of that and bump that back down to 2,000. And then what we can do is there's a whole bunch of parks grants out there that we can look into as
Yeah.
well.
I'm gonna talk to Kathy Smith about those next Wednesday at the Mark meeting.
Okay.
And try to get her, to use her skills or at least teach me if she doesn't wanna do it anymore to write grants.
So if we reduce that, we've picked up $6,000 total, which takes us down from 73 to 67 thousand, which is more than what we budgeted this year, so it's still an increase. Less than what we spent in 21, but more than what we spent in 20. And part of that is because of the park salary. We didn't have any park salary in 20 or 21.
Didn't we break it out?
Well, it was all in wages, seasonal temp,
Oh, gotcha.
because
Gotcha.
we didn't have, we actually spent about the same amount of money apparently. It just wasn't in salaries.
Okay.
So it's still an increase in parks, it's just not as much as they had hoped.
And it may get an increase through grants.
Yes.
So what do we knock it down to, 60?
67, 370.
I hate to beat a dead horse,
But if we go back to the library
Sure.
and,
Beat it, James.
and go ahead and just drop that to 28,000.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've done that
Oh, you
in
did
my,
that?
in my notes,
Okay.
Okay.
28 even?
because,
Yep.
we moved the budget back 3 weeks.
Oh.
So that should give us
Okay.
time to move it back up if we need
If we
to.
have to, okay.
So
So
that
when I,
gives
when I
us-
was talking about how much we're saving, at $2,300. And we have $5,700. And we have $6,000. And we have $3,000. So,
17
okay, 1,
ish, maybe?
8, and 9, $17,000. So we're getting close to the 21,000.
Where does the money go to that we make off the sale of the ambulance?
To go back to.
They go back
It'll,
to
it'll go
general
into
fund?
it'll go into the general fund. Or, because we do have a capital equipment reserve, the sale of the ambulance money could go into the capital equipment reserve.
Wherever it helps us.
Is
And
there,
perhaps that would be best, because then we don't have to transfer it later.
is there anything that the city needs to get rid of? Before we start tackling emergency services?
Hmm.
For FY23, that can go out to bid. Whether it be the rocket,
Rocket.
Yeah.
We have a rocket.
that's what
Yeah, that's our.
Oh.
Christie drives.
The truck.
Yeah.
Why would this? Why do you
So-
budget
But doesn't he
go
need a
up?
truck?
Am I not reading that right?
Well, we have
So
Do they
the
account
library-
for
the Ghost
raises?
that
Yeah.
doesn't get driven right now because we don't want anybody to apply to anything.
Is that the new one? Okay, so nobody's driving the new truck. So we spent money on a new truck.
It's
and-
only driven when needed.
So like on Sundays in the driveway or?
No,
Okay.
like when,
Just saying.
cause it's got a dump bed in it. So when they need to when they pick up leaves or anything like that, that has to go down to the brush pile, they can put it in there and dump that stuff out. Or salt, when they go to pick up salt, put it in the back of that.
No.
Snow.
So,
It helps keep our new pickup new longer.
It doesn't get ran into by big snowplows. So, that's what I'm
Chris have
saying.
a vehicle that he drives and back
That's
and
the
forth?
rocket.
The old backhoe, was a trade-in item,
Yes.
okay?
so for instance,
There's
we're doing a remodel.
Yeah.
Chairs, filing cabinets.
This, or is
Yes.
this being saved?
Is that all gotta stay here?
It-
We're gonna keep the old and the new?
It depends on what
I think
they
part of
contract.
$50,000 is, getting, new furniture for the clerks and filing cabinets sufficient so that we don't have stuff just laying around.
Because you might not need the filing cabinet. A lot of that stuff could fit into a certain tote or a box or something instead of the.
Well, they still have to be able to get it, but I mean, I think they'll be able to,
How many times we've been in this?
yeah, I'm not saying that thing.
Quite
But
a
like
few.
these filing cabinets, I'm sure
into
they are.
that, at least every other month.
I hate to have to see you move all that stuff.
I hate moving it, yeah.
You really have to move all that.
How long do we have to keep some of this stuff? Forever, or is there a time limit?
That part of the answer to your question is going to be when everything is boxed up and moved over the fire station, I think it's going to be gone through
Yeah.
and we will find out whether or not we can get rid of old filing cabinets. If we do, we'll put it out on
Okay, so that's,
auction
right,
and
so
that will
whatever, but
be
yeah.
revenue.
so,
It'd be revenue this year probably.
yeah, so that's what I'm getting at is, you know, if you wanna get rid of some of that little stuff or whatever, that'd be a great little thing to do for
Mhm.
what it's talking about.
That way you can come have a little bit of padding.
I think there are things in that flat file that we don't want to get rid of,
Absolutely.
but it's also a real pain in the butt because it takes such a big footprint.
Right.
And so is it something that we could put in the corner of the fire station instead of over here? And then when we need to go get something out of it, we just walk over and get it.
That's all like maps, right? Sewer maps,
Diagrams.
diagrams and all that,
Yeah.
which would,
Which
it might make
that's what you
sense.
don't wanna get rid of, because
Yeah.
by the time you go start digging somewhere, you hit something.
Well,
Yeah.
And it might make sense to have it over there anyway, because essentially with the generator over there, that is now gonna be our control center for disasters. And so you're gonna want those maps at some point during that.
The remodeling may end up with a council desk that is straight across this area so that we all sit in a straight line. And that would open up more, or a better seating arrangement, and allow, more space over there. So, you know, that'll all be figured out once
Yep.
we get everything torn out.
So I think we might be able to get rid of the rocket in FY '23. Dump truck's going out. It's on its last leg. Thought there was one other thing.
Are we gonna have to replace
I
the
don't know.
dump truck?
I gotta talk to Tony about that.
I know we bought it at DOT auction. And if we need to replace it, then we'll need to budget money to do that.
The white dump truck that's going bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
The big orange one,
Not
The
the
white
orange
one.
one.
or what?
But that's all. I don't think that affects
The
what we're
budget.
doing with the budget. It may provide revenue and some cash. But we don't need to,
Spell it out.
Not significant, yeah.
it'll just be cash on hand.
Keep it in the cash box.
So we finished the general fund and we're about $17,000 less. So 174,000, 770 approximately. Which is still not 100, but 500,
Well,
400.
we're getting rid of a vehicle in EMS. So instead of tripling our maintenance on EMS, maybe we can take some out of there.
Does that get broken down though?
Vehicle maintenance.
Yeah,
Does that get broken down though again with
Yeah. that gets prorated. EMS, vehicle repair maintenance instead of 3,000. You know, this is one of those things that, if we find the money to get a used Suburban, then we still have to outfit it. And so
Insurance will also be higher.
does the $3,000 we have for vehicle maintenance repair get spent in outfitting whatever we buy? And so we
I
still
think-
end up spending the 3,000?
I think what you'd end up doing is if they get the Suburban, I'm guessing they're getting rid of the other ambulance too.
No.
No, they're keeping
They
the
would
other.
keep
Oh, keeping
ambulance
one.
as a rehab rig.
Okay. For what? For what reason again?
Rehab.
Rehab.
I know we decided to get rid of it already, but I looked at it, it's not that bad a shape body-wise on the pictures. Is it really,
There's motor issues.
there is, okay.
Yeah, it's
Because, you know,
leaking
tires and
oil.
battery is just routine maintenance, but if there's engine problems, okay.
Is that diesel or
Yeah.
it is diesel?
It only has 75,000 on it, right, I think.
Yeah, and it takes up usable space.
It's big. Okay,
Like a hell of a food truck, I think.
Tailgater.
Coffee in the morning as you're going out of town, I'll sell you one on the side
Oh,
through
yeah.
the ambulance.
Yeah. Open up the door.
You just gotta make sure you put it on the right side, so when people leave,
Right.
Yep.
you can make it a drive-through.
Just saying.
oh my.
So $17,000 reduction, and we were $21,000 short. So we still have $4,000 that we need to find someplace. And we
Let's go
have
back to the library.
I think we
local option
I think we
sales
still
tax
can go back to
of $3,500 that we could still transfer over. So we're close.
So why doesn't the capital accounts for both parks and EMS, I know that they're very important, why don't they come down an even
$2,000.
$2,000 a piece? Those are brand new things that, yes, we do need, just an idea,
Phase it in over a couple of
but
years.
phase it in over years.
Which one are we looking at?
Capital equipment reserve.
Capital equipment accounts for both parks and fire, or I'm sorry, EMS. Stupid, silly,
Did they already buy they were talking about buying that
Lucas.
Lucas device. Did that get
Oh.
bought already from out of the
Yes.
fund?
it did.
It did?
Oh. Okay. What does that come out of, Deb?
Anyway, I assume that the boxes that came through here that says Lucas.
So it's here,
Oh, wow. Cool.
right? Is that what you're saying? It's here?
I
It just
assume
needs some
so.
training.
We got a box.
We got a
Got
box.
with the word
Actually, we
Lucas.
had 4 boxes.
May not be anything in it, but we got a box.
4 boxes. We got
I've
4
seen that
boxes of
before.
nothing.
I see that every day.
Right.
Good at boxes.
So is that,
So-
Well, that's
is that
good, though.
capital
That's good.
equipment?
If it's here,
I like
Oh
the
no, that's
equipment part,
21.
Yep.
but
Oh yeah, 20. So is that,
up
Is there
here with the
capital equipment?
$10,000 in training, I think we could probably cut that just by $2,000
Mhm.
for right now.
Which one are you talking about?
The $10,000 in training for the EMS. I
Cut
like
it
the
by
equipment.
2,000?
to go down
Cut
to
it
8.
by 2,000.
Okay, so it'd be $8,000?
Yeah.
Okay, so
And Lauren was saying,
So-
fire capital equipment,
EMS capital equipment.
EMS.
oh,
EMS?
well, fire capital
I
equipment was $15,000.
Go.
EMS capital equipment is,
What were they?
what, 3,000? Capital equipment reserve, 6,000?
Yeah.
So reducing that to what?
Well, you took the
By-
10,000, so now we would only have to do 1,000 instead.
Right.
So EMS and Parks would split the 2,000 that we need to come down, do EMS 1,000 and Parks 1,000 on their capital accounts.
That's-
Really can't go down 1,000 because of the projects that they have, that they're trying to get done. I mean, they have such a small budget anyway.
I get that. It was
So
an idea unless we,
I got lost. Which programs? Let's do these one at a time.
6728 capital equipment reserve for EMS.
For EMS.
Yep.
Now, you know that whatever we reduce it by,
We also reduce
we're
our
reducing our revenues by 60% of whatever we reduce. it
2/3
by.
of it
So if we reduce the expenditures by 1,000, our revenues drop by 600.
So it's almost
And
not
on
worth it.
fire, it's 70%.
It's almost not worth it.
Right.
So unless it's gonna be a significant reduction,
well, I mean, that was trying to trim from 2 departments that are working their tushies off and
yes.
Right. And
Let's go back to
let's
that.
go back to the library.
You don't have to stay with 2 years
And
ago
there's-
number.
well,
How do you trim off the library without hurting
programming,
programming?
Well,
Yeah,
50% of the
take off.
salary that we can't control.
What,
That's the
Deb?
whole
that's
stress
right.
level.
Can you take off 2,000 of the city hall remodel?
Oh, Deborah.
No, Deborah, we're not doing that.
Well,
Debbie do. So I'm usually not so willy-nilly gambler, but I say we're down to what, a remaining 4,000 that we need to
Just
find,
do it.
just do it.
just
And
do, when you
we'll,
say do it, you
Take
mean
it out of reserves.
spend out of, cash reserves
Mhm.
under the assumption that we're not going to
Somebody's
be
not going to spend.
spending that much. Well, we could certainly do that.
Just Nike it, Steve. Just
Um,
do it.
I'm not usually at all like that,
No,
but
I'm gonna
I
check for a
don't, I
fever.
know, I'm
Yeah.
usually like, we can cut this, we can cut
But you know
this,
what,
but
Lauren?
we have cut so much from
This gives
groups
you
that can't. be
kind
cut
of a
anymore.
step ahead for the library.
Oh, I've already
saying-
got my notes.
Saying that, hey,
Yeah.
we thought about
Cutting
your
way more.
Yeah,
$21,800
and we only took you
because that's what we
down
needed.
5,000, and here we are trying to trim from 2 other departments that are working their butts off.
Okay,
It's time for you to step up.
what do you need me
To go to Steve.
what time is it
It is
10
8:07.
after 8.
Okay.
You looking for a motion?
Tuesday.
now?
Oh.
We,
I
Well,
swear, I think we're only halfway
what,
through,
what
aren't we?
what we can
Came back
do,
to something, remember?
what we can do is, well,
Oh, yeah,
let's
we've gotta come back to
go
that.
through, we've finished the general fund. And the general fund was the one that was the most in debt,
Mhm.
in trouble. The rest of them are pretty much balanced. We can just quickly look through them and make sure that I didn't screw something else up.
So what page are you on now, Steve?
I'm on
Yeah.
page 8, the bottom of page 8. We
Yeah,
have
I was on
Washington
mine.
Township Trust.
I was
Now
down that
that's,
page.
I was
uh,
too. I was on to nine.
one of those things that, this is how much is going to support the fire and EMS. So that number will change because we changed expenditures elsewhere. But that's fine, we don't need to worry about that, that's automatic. Next page, roads, bridges, sidewalks. This, if you look at the one that's in yellow, $21,284. Everything down to the middle of the page where it says road use tax total, everything down to there is money that is spent out of the road use tax. So we get X number of dollars in road use tax. Everything here, except for the 21,000, is an expenditure, and you subtract that from what money we get in, and that tells us how much money is left to do on roads.
Quick question on that, Steve.
Yeah,
Casey's being closed.
Hmm.
We don't get the tax that is on the gas until they rebuild. Does that tax?
we
go
don't
to-
get that tax anyway, but that all goes to the DOT. And then the DOT shares it out based on population.
Perfect. Is that the same with sales tax?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't get any of it directly. It all goes into a pool and then it's prorated back.
Perfect. Then I will shut my mouth.
We have two items in yellow. One of them is the transfer out, $55,800. We've been putting that money aside for the Baldwin Avenue project. And the other is the $21,284, which is how much money we're going to do on seal coating. In the past, we've spent between $40,000 and $60,000 on seal coating. So this will be half to a third of what we've done in the past. They're supposed to possibly be here
In May or
this
June.
spring,
Yeah.
which means we're going to have more money spent this year. We may not have any money spent next year, so maybe the 21,000 is just fine. I don't know, but 21,000 is not a lot of money for seal coating.
Plus, assuming they eventually get the school project done, those streets are really in shabby shape up there. The equipment's been
Sidewalks are
very hard on things.
sidewalk along the gym.
Sidewalks are
Um,
not here, are not part of this.
Gosh, it's bad.
I agree. So what we can do is we can leave it like this. Means road use, $120,000, which is about what we spent in fiscal year 21. If we don't do any road maintenance, then we will just have cash left over in the account. If we do road maintenance, and we do more than 21,000, then we would have less money to transfer out between those two, or transfer out into the Baldwin project. So I would say it's not ideal, but leave the road use tax one as is, unless somebody sees someplace where they, where we can reasonably cut, anything we cut just then gets put up into the street maintenance line item. So it may not make any difference.
But we are budgeting right now for the max.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So it really does matter. That's the maximum amount that we can use.
Yep. Mhm.
And we can, in our internal budget, right, we can say we're gonna attempt to use less.
Mhm.
So
And
I,
and the road use money, if we use less, the cash stays in the road use fund. So whatever we don't use on roads stays for future use on roads. It doesn't go into the general fund.
Sure.
Before we turn the page, Steve, the top two lines there, we have no history of anything in road use salary, but we're putting 9,600 in there.
That's because we decided when we did our salary allocations this year
Mhm.
to charge part of
Is that 10% we moved Tony around on?
yeah, we moved
Okay.
10% of Tony and 10% of Chris into roads, whereas before we didn't have that.
Okay. Something there. Thank you.
So yeah, it reduces the amount of money we have available for seal coating by
10,000 or so.
$10,000.
Mhm.
So that's the consequence of that decision. Employee benefits, emergency fund, we dealt with all that. Utility franchise total, that's going down because we don't get gas anymore, it's only electric. And so we have less to spend. The local option sales tax, all of that is getting transferred into the general fund to support the general fund. And we still have about $3,000 more we can transfer in. If you want me to show that $3,000 being transferred into the general fund, that helps balance the general fund. The thing about the decisions that we still need, if I showed another $3,000 so that it's $109,000 instead of $106,000, what we still need to do as a council is go back through the entire budget and say, okay, we're going to transfer $109,000 into the general fund. Now, which things in the general fund are community betterment? Because we can only transfer money from local option sales tax to pay for things that are community betterment.
And I think everything that we cut so far, I think would lie in that, right? You got your emergency services, you got the parks, you got the
Yeah, and
library.
it's cut, so
Yeah.
we can't spend on it because
Right.
it's cut.
Right.
But you take a look at the very first line item in the budget on the expenditure side, $60,000 for police. If the council were to say that police is community betterment, then $60,000 of the $109,000 can go toward police. Which means that every time we get a bill from the sheriff, we pay for it out of the general and we transfer money from local option sales into the general fund. The council declaring it as community betterment if there is a true, citizens could come in and say, no, it's not. And then we would have to justify it, or we have to pass a resolution that says it is, and then it is. They could protest it with the state, and the state could come in, maybe slap our hands, I don't know. It's never happened. So, but that would be the first place I would go, saying that it's community betterment. The other place would be library. $20,000 toward the library. Is the library community betterment? Well, now we're up to 80,000 out of 109,000. What else in the budget is going to total $109,000? Now we might be getting into things like the new pickup payment that we have to make out of parks. It's still $4,000 out of parks, $4,200. But if we use local option sales tax to pay it instead of general fund money, then now we're up another $4,200, and we're getting closer to the 109. We've got to identify things that are in the budget. Now, let's say the community betterment, $4,000 that we had in community betterment, and we say that's part of local option sales tax because it's community betterment. If we don't spend the money, then we can't transfer it. But if we don't spend the money, then we don't have a deficit of having spent the money. So we're okay. We don't need to transfer it. We don't, because we didn't spend it, right? If we didn't spend it, then we we didn't spend it.
Right.
So we can identify even things like that, where that we budgeted, but we may not spend. And then if we don't spend it, no harm, no foul. We've still balanced the budget.
Deb, how hard is it for you to pull what we currently this year, or maybe even last year, used our local option sales tax for? Is that doable without a major hassle?
Well, yeah, we have a resolution that we approved last year with the budget that says we're going to budget a certain amount of money out of local option sales tax for community betterment items, and here are the items.
Okay, so we do have
And
that
so
listed.
we have
That'd be good to
what
compare.
we budgeted, and then we can check that out and see whether or not it actually got spent. Because if it didn't get spent, it didn't get transferred.
Because I can recall over the years, every once in a while, somebody comes in with a great idea and we throw a couple $1,000s to do it. I don't want to ever get to the point where we can't be able to do that comfortably.
Well,
Yeah. If
may come to that point with getting rid of local option sales tax altogether.
I did talk to Rob Bacon, sent him that paper that Deb had. He says he's never heard it. The Senate is where it's landing right now. He said there's no way under God's green grass, above God's green grass is going to happen.
I saw the bill that was introduced, I think last week. And what the bill did is there are some counties that have not adopted the 1 cent sales tax. And so this bill applies the 1 cent sales tax to every place in Iowa. And which means that there's going to be a little bit more collected, but a lot more distributed, distributed to a lot thinner.
Yeah.
And so our amount might go down because of that, because it's getting spread thinner. And because it's now a state mandate, they may come up with requirements as to how it's being spent. Most of the communities use the money for property tax reduction, which means, in our case, if we had voted it in that way, then we would do a budget just like we're doing. And then the $110,000 would be applied to our general fund expenditures. So our taxes would go down. And our budget right now is like $600,000. And so it'd go down to $500,000. So about 1/6 reduction in property tax. That's how most communities are doing it today.
Now, we're going to lose some money though because of the new census numbers, right? In
Yes.
some categories. Are we,
I've already taken that into
we've
account.
already got that built in, okay.
And the next census is what, 20, 30?
Yep.
30.
Unless we ask for a special census.
If we get 28 houses out there, it might be worth considering.
Who knows?
Now, the biggest fear going around ClerkNet is that, and we've seen it in the past, is when a state takes over a fund, that eventually they take it.
Yes.
Like the commercial, where we had the commercial, they took away the taxes from the commercial part, or cut them, and they were supplementing those, and they said they would. Now they're getting rid of it.
Yep. Promise to backfill, and then they don't.
Politicians.
Darn Republicans anyway. So the chances are that, yes, it may go away, but it's not going away next year. It's not going to go away the year after that.
Good,
And
my
it
turns
may
up on this.
reduce in years after that. So,
So it's still a good thing to call your representative and say, don't do it.
yes,
And yes, one of the requirements will, for new local people that's getting the local option, is 50% tax reduction. Anybody that already has local option can continue with what they're using it for.
Do we,
and when we adopted it years and years ago, and the community said you could use it for community betterment and left it undefined, you just don't know how lucky we are.
I was just thinking in my head earlier, what is not considered community betterment? If you're pumping money back into someone who wants to do a project, EMS, police,
As
all of that.
That's
is-
exactly correct.
Yep.
The council has to go on record with resolution that something is a community betterment.
That's all.
Yes, we can be pilloried for saying something's a community betterment.
Right.
And voted out of office. Well, too bad, so sad.
Right.
do we have to redo that? Or is that infinity, that local option part for this city is,
I don't
Is
think
there-
it has a sunset.
it doesn't?
I
So
can
it's not
call
like
it
the school
again.
where you have to go and do local option
No,
sales tax
no,
every 6 years.
no, I was thinking that there was something years ago where there was an option on the ballot to, it's like judges, if you want to get rid of it, if you want to get rid of a judge,
Shall they be reappointed?
shall they be reappointed? You say no, and then they can get kicked out. And I think it was like that for the local option sales tax. It was, do you want to change it, yes or no? And there weren't
90% of people don't vote on it anyway.
exactly. And if you get 10 people to vote no, then you probably win.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, there was something on the ballot 10 years ago or so. So there may be something in the future.
Is that something that the citizen goes to the auditor and says, I want this put on the ballot? Here's my
I don't think so.
$350 check.
So, we are at
Stormwater?
local option sales tax. We did that on bottom of page 9, page 10. ARP funds, we've got I don't have any expenditures on that. It's just building up cash. We will have to have expenditure someday, and there'll be a budget amendment.
And that can be something, I don't know if we
Discussed this a whole lot. That's something that we believe we're gonna have to talk to our attorney if we can use it for this or not. But we believe we can use it for, if the new development goes through, we can use it for infrastructure, specifically waste, water,
Yes,
sewer, and
We can't ask for it.
Is that, how many thousand was that?
we, 120,000, something like that. We have somebody from the chamber coming in to talk to us about TIF. He's also the expert on the ARP program and the new policies that are in place, and has helped some other communities. And so that's something we can also reach out this Friday and talk to them about. After we've done the TIF, we can broach this subject.
would we say that?
Noon.
Noon on Friday. I haven't heard back from him. I'll confirm that with him.
I'll still put it in there.
Fund 200 is debt service. That's our GO bond. The right amount, the right dollar amounts are being shown there now. Fund 301 is the Baldwin Avenue. STRT is the street, so that's how you can tell that it's Baldwin Avenue. Because there 302 is the stormwater, and it doesn't, we don't have anything budgeted, so it's not included. Water and sewer, Doug and I are working with Tiana on, it's going to balance. So we don't need to worry about those, and that takes us to page 13. And if we can find any additional revenue, then that helps, right? But we do know that because we've reduced fire, we've reduced EMS, that the township contribution under program 160 is going to go down a little bit.
And do we just bill that? Is that what happens?
Yeah. Building permits, it's the same as what we had for expenditures. Garbage program. The revenue shows 72,000. The expenditures showed 84. So there's a mismatch here someplace, and we'll have to figure that out. Didn't it show, wasn't garbage 84 before on the
88.
88? So that may be part of the $21,000 that it's off, is we don't have the garbage balanced. So, oh, well, there are 4 line items there that total together, but that still needs to be, they don't balance, and they need to, which may mean that we need to increase our garbage rates. So I'll work on that. Library revenues, parks revenues, cemetery revenue, maybe that should be $2,000 instead of $1,000. Should we increase the cost of the lots from $100 to $250?
Seen something in a small town I went through in Illinois, which caught me, which is unfortunate because we're talking about revenue. But there was no cost to EMS or military to be buried in their cemetery.
I kind of love that.
Which it might be next July before they get to doing it, but.
Right. Yeah, so I mean,
That's
I just
interesting.
drove by and I just happened to be at the stop sign and there was a cemetery. I turned it for left going. No charge for lots for military or, which military would be good. It'd be hard to do EMS, but something to think about.
Is it just EMS or is it all first responders?
It's
Well,
first
I would do
responders. It said first
police,
responders. It said, I think it
Fire.
actually said first responders.
which would include police, fire, EMS,
EMS.
and if they die in the line of duty or if they've ever served one day.
They didn't say that because, that's another good question.
It was
I
the
served
fine-
4 months on,
fine print.
I served 4 months on EMS,
Yeah.
or whatever, so
Yeah.
now I did a free burial. No,
4 months on
Right.
EMS 10 years ago.
yeah.
I was a volunteer fire department on the volunteer fire department in Windsor Heights in 1972. So does that qualify me?
Statute of limitations, Stephen.
What?
Nothing.
What?
Nothing.
That wasn't even a thought in 1972.
Joe used to complain because I'd come to bed and my beard would smell like I'd been at a barbecue.
Oh, yeah. Just-
We should start a rent-to-own program.
There you go.
Right?
Kid, I love that. I love that idea. Just
Mhm.
it's bad spot for
Right.
revenue
Right.
conversation.
uh,
I thought, oh, this is a very plan.
Yeah.
Okay, park
We need to get this wrapped up and get to bed. 'Cause
Yeah.
People are getting weird.
transfer
You get delirious.
transfer from lost to 106. It might be going up to 109. We have to figure that out. Once I figure out garbage, transfers in. That's the balance from Washington from fire, EMS, employee benefits, and lost in order to make the general fund balance. Page 14. We're showing significant increase in our miscellaneous revenue, significant increase in our utility revenue. That's interesting.
Mobile home, I think I asked this before.
That we don't have that anymore. Because that was something that there used to be a separate licensing fee for mobile homes, but now they're
So
all
much a square
property and so it's all
Okay.
taxed.
It's all just regular.
So it really won't matter if we.
Yeah. Township contributions, that goes to fire and EMS. I guessed on our utility franchise at 15,000. I'd say that let's plug in the changes that we have, get the water, sewer, and garbage to balance and see where we are.
So you're thinking about raising garbage. You mentioned that. Okay. When I moved to town and moved down to Rhinebeck, I had to buy my garbage bags.
In Rhinebeck.
I think they were $1 a piece.
Okay.
Is that something to think about? We had to go,
Did you also pay for garbage pickup?
I believe so.
And you had to put your garbage in special garbage bags instead of the canisters?
Collins is the same way, I think.
Because we
You
didn't
have to
have
buy your
canisters.
recycle.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
so
have
we
to
didn't
have, so
canisters.
you
I
get
just
two
had my own
different
can.
cans. It's two different
But I had to
companies.
put,
They come
that's
two
the
different
difference.
days.
that's the difference.
So you have your recycle bin and you have your
So you
garbage
just
bin
put your
We're
bag.
providing
and
the
you're
can.
charged on both,
We provide a can.
but they are cheaper.
See, what I was
So
trying to
we
do,
take resource
what I was
recovery.
doing was they were all made out of cornstarch.
That's the difference.
So then I went to the deal, the plastic would deteriorate over the years.
I'm just thinking of curb appeal, how that would.
I had my own garbage can, so it was all in the garbage
You
can.
can use your own garbage can. They just got it.
Right.
But that's how they guaranteed that they got the revenue to pay the contractor, is you had to use their
Special
bags.
bags. I got you.
Even though you put it in your can, everything had to be in a bag.
Which at one time, didn't we have like stickers or something? We were
For
supposed to
yard waste.
come.
For yard
I
waste.
see yard waste.
Well, I thought even if you had like an extra sack that wasn't able to fit in the garbage can, didn't you have to have a sticker or something on it, or that he wasn't gonna pick it up?
Maybe we should think about that.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people
Because
in my
right now
street
it's
that.
just, you can put it beside the can and they'll pick it up.
You have 2 extra sacks, but then they charge the.
So do the people who have 2 and 3 cans at their property, as I've seen, are they charged a different
They're charging an
Price.
additional
Mhm.
$10 for the
Can
second
fee.
can.
for an additional tote, or whatever that is?
So, So then you'd end up with the guy went and put a sticker on his bag outside his can, and
And
the
just
garbage
keep out.
guy says, I don't see a sticker, so I'm
Leave
leaving.
it sit.
Mhm.
It'd be a bookkeeping nightmare too.
So today is.
Tuesday.
Today is February 15th, Tuesday, 2022.
Tuesday.
15th. Do we want to meet again a week from Monday?
What's that right?
Well,
Thought we were.
We'd set Monday
Why
already.
don't
I
we
thought.
already said it. That's
Next
right.
Monday?
For the first.
Yeah,
Okay.
for those exact reasons.
Am I gonna have
And
enough
I'm not calling in.
time?
You're gone.
I'll be day drinking because it'll be 5 o'clock.
It's fine. I'll go to the
Well,
library maybe by myself.
since we've moved our budget approval back by 3 weeks, can we give ourselves
More time?
an extra week between now and our next meeting so we can get some of this stuff?
Done.
Let me see if BJ
Oh, you
emails
probably
me,
had somebody coming down.
emails me back by the end of this week
BJ.
from ATI.
Oh, because they were gonna be in next week
They're gonna
also?
be there.
Yeah,
We don't,
I would,
I'll give him a call tomorrow.
Did you see Amy had made some edits on that too? So, but she has it ready, it looks like.
And he's got that.
He has that
Yes.
already, okay.
suggest to him that we move that meeting back a week,
Mhm.
because that'll give me a little bit more time to make sure that all the numbers balance.
You're talking about raising rates. I had budget numbers in the $74,000 range instead of the 88 that you have for garbage, so I need to check with you on that.
Yeah.
But that still required an increase of, and depending on our customer count.
Yeah.
To $18 or $19
Mhm.
per
Per
month. We're
month.
17 now, it'd be a buck or two more,
Oh.
Mhm.
total of 19. And if the fuel surcharge goes goofy, there's gonna be some.
Yeah.
more.
Which is
That's
most
if we
likely.
can't figure out the discrepancy between the contract and how
Well,
many
we need to
were-
get the exact
we need to
numbers.
get
If
that
we're letting
number.
bygones be bygones,
It might go up even more if we have more
That's
people.
where my
yeah, if we're
brain
down
is.
in that
Actually,
306
if we have more
number.
people,
Then it goes up.
If we have more, it'll help.
if
It'll
actually
go down,
it goes down
right?
because we
Oh.
bring in more revenue because
Right.
we
I
aren't
always
doing it.
forget that.
I put the three numbers that I'm not sure which,
I
I don't know
have
if
the
I
email.
emailed that
so
to you or
you
not,
know.
but that's,
I have the email.
We moved an item to after budget discussion.
Yes.
$400
I-
for the
I
acronym we
move
don't
that we defer that to the next
Shoot.
meeting.
Yeah, because according to my that I get from the Central Iowa Region Housing Authority, Maxwell doesn't have any.
we have zero, I get that too.
Yeah, so we have zero assistance according to them, but
Because we
according
have
to Story
Maxwell.
On their
County,
map, it says
we have 1 or 2 or something like that.
2%.
Mhm.
So Steve made the motion,
Second.
second by Lauren. Discussion. Hearing none. Megan,
Yes.
Doug, Ken.
Yeah.
Steve,
Yes,
Lauren.
Yes.
I second Lauren's motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion by Lauren to adjourn,
Yeah, motion
second
to adjourn.
by Steve.
Steven, look, he's getting his stuff,
I
he's
know.
leaving already.
Doug. Yes. Ken,
yeah.
Steve.
Yes, I just
Lauren.
wanted to get out of arm's reach.
Lauren,
Lauren.
can you vote?
Yes, I can
Megan.
vote.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
Good job, guys.
Good job.
We're getting close, getting close.
Been out of
You
here
do great.
20 minutes soon.
This will go over like a 30 minutes.
Jeez.
What?
You just gave out.
I mean, it has to be, and I think it will most likely have to increase more than that, because I mean, fuel costs are
Or
going
whatever
up.
you want.
We're gonna get the fuel surcharge. That's just a given, so
This is the one he gave. me.
everything's going up.
how the world works.
Why?
We have to have our garbage taken away. So I'm not gonna have a
Why?
stinky yard.
No. That's why I didn't like the bag idea. The look of it.
Oh, I always forget to put it down first.
City of, Cambridge.
Our excitement for the day, right there.
Down. I think I'm going to there.
My,
Put it down.
my office chair.
Oh, lordy, lordy. Got pennies on the dollar.
Take this. Is this okay?
When we redo the council table, let's get the plugins built in and USB type
Yes.
plugs also.
Sorry,
So
Megan.
There's places all along there.
We're on Friday at
So-
4:30, right?
Built in
Yes,
so
with
that
Tony,
my
confirmed.
new computer, oh, we can see that.
Are you good for Thursday?
Thursday I am. So far, if my assistant comes to work and does her stuff, then I don't have to stay and answer the phone, get the door and sales and all that. Yes, and Ron is
Thank you.
the
Getting there.
owner who was on
Yep, yep, whoops.
screen